So I'm going to be honest. A lot of you guys been telling me to call out this brother Bomani Jones because he's been saying things like this recently.
They don't think the film is good. So then they got to a place where they were like, okay, well, Shedeur and his father did not make it easy for people to evaluate him. We did. So stop acting like everybody was so sure that Shedeur was going to go early. And Deion Sanders can go to the combine and not do nothing but run the 40 and tell my agent to call me.
That part, pretty much. We got some more step infections who, well, this case, he converted into a step infection. And we're going to show you how guys like Bomani Jones stay chasing the banana pill. But let's drop my theme song.
I've been broke so many times, I don't know what to believe. Mama say it's my fault, I wear my heart on my sleeve.
So when we have the shades on, we got to go in. I'm going to let Bomani talk his piece first. I'm not a hater of Bomani, but I tell the truth. I used to love this brother a lot. Y'all go subscribe to the Bomani Jones show and channel. He got 76.2 thousand subscribers now, but we're going to have to expose Bomani Jones today. And I think something's been inserted in your boy, and we're going to have to educational purpose him all day today. I'm going to let him do the interview where I break each point down after each clip, and then we're going to have to expose him with nothing but receipts. You know how we do here. Smash that like button, hit that notification bell. I'm DJ Bless One, the best one. So Bomani Jones, this is a guy who's a clown in every way and fashion, but he claimed that Colorado people were scared to tell the truth about Deion Sanders and Shedeur when they went to Boulder. Now, mind I tell you, Bomani doesn't disclose names or anything. This is just his source. So who's to say this clown isn't lying? And that's my point with these anonymous sources.
Is that you couldn't get a straight answer from anybody at Colorado about Shedeur. That everybody at Colorado was so over the top complimentary of Shedeur, keeping in mind that his father is the coach there. Nobody wanted to say anything. Is that you couldn't.
So you read the report of a source of another source from a clown who didn't even show his face. So 3 different sources within one. You take that to read on your syndicated podcast with Wave and validate it. And you know you're Bomani Jones, who's been on these TV networks for over 2 decades. So a lot of people who are not into sports, they're going to believe clowns like you, but you never threw it out there. These are just opinions, which were never proven to be fact. And another distasteful thing you threw out there, and let's not forget whose father happens to be Deion Sanders, as if Colorado and Boulder, who had all these losing seasons, are now for some reason are afraid of King Deion. Like Deion put them in fear to lose their jobs or whatever, when he actually amplified the entire financial status of Colorado. You feel me? Football, that is. For you to come, actually all the teams in Colorado benefit from the starlights that was put out there, but you use that as a detriment instead of actually bringing facts. You're a bitch in every way, Bomani, and I'm not done turning up on you yet. So you bring out and about this thing that we all knew I threw out, you know, when certain people in the media were doing lies on Deion, but there were 2 who actually put actual lies, and everybody in the football atmospheres knows about these 2 idiots. And you said these things happened because Deion Sanders was vengeful towards the media.
They don't think the film is good. So then they got to a place where they were like, okay, well, let's just say where we think he's going to go. But also people being very skeptical and worried about saying something bad because Deion Sanders is vengeful toward media members. You saw that at the start of the 2024 season, where he started telling people that they couldn't come to press stuff and answer questions because he didn't like what they had said. They don't think
you, once again, are a weak individual in every way, Bomani Jones. You prove to everybody what I keep telling my supporters. Any idiot can get on these platforms and just yap, and now you'll be a star. But we're going to break down your history of your failures later after the interview. So Deion Sanders is vengeful towards the media, and once again, you're referencing people are scared of him, and you said we've seen him being vengeful when he said all blah blah to the media, which is a lie, bro. It was to one journalist and another. It should have been two, but I exposed the second one. It was Sean Keeler presenting fake information out there. First of all, Sean Keeler is at Colorado. We understand you have to be non-biased in this situation, but goddamn, you keep attacking your own with racist connotations, stereotypical things that went above and beyond than what football was supposed to be. But you didn't break that down. You made it look like Deion attacked everybody in the media, but you didn't see the relentless attacks from Sean Keeler for years. Deion Sanders waited for almost 2 years before he had to lay it down and say something, because those reports could hurt the football players' draft status. Lies about weapons, lies about gambling that was never proven, saying that Rick George reprimanded Deion when it never happened. But you're not a journalist, Bomani. Whatever your name is, Bitch Jones, you're a tap dancer. You benefit a certain liberal crowd when you want to, but when you become a failure in what you thought you would have become after 20 years, you know, another fake Stephen A. Smith. So now you're going to cater to a said so conservative segment in hopes of coming back to a national spotlight. But I'm not done with you yet, boy. Let's go to the next one. And I do mean boy in every way. There's nothing man about your frail tale.
Because this guy told me he didn't have anybody tell him he was a first rounder. The guys that I know, I didn't have any of them tell me that Shedeur Sanders was a first rounder. They didn't have anybody that said he was. So it wound up in that situation because this guy told me he didn't have anybody tell.
Who is this guy? And that's the problem about weak dudes like you. We don't know who you talk to. A lot of people said Shedeur's not a first rounder who don't count in the NFL, who are not even reputable experts, just an idiot on Twitter who's racist as hell. You're not a first rounder. You're an eighth rounder, and it don't even exist. But we're supposed to take your word, Bomani, and now we're supposed to pretend there's no ulterior motives when I just literally debunked everything you said so far as projections and opinions that are not substantial enough, bro. You're just still making up crap.
Shedeur and his father did not make it easy for people to evaluate him. I'll give you an example of somebody who did this. Michael Porter Jr. in the NBA was coming off a back injury. And
I'm done. I already know what he was going to talk about. Michael Porter and his father kind of hid the narrative of Michael Porter back being injured, but the NBA found out anyways. How can you use Michael Porter as saying that, oh, Deion and Shedeur didn't make the interviews easier when every single NFL team, well, I don't want to say every, it was like 3 missing. We're not going to get into that, but majority of the NFL teams and personnel all came out, some before the draft, some after, and said even the Buffalo Bills and Giants admitted, nah, Shedeur was actually quite pleasant and eloquent when they talked to him. So who are the people who said Shedeur did a bad interview? You're never going to find out, because when it comes to the draft, you would think Bomani Jones would know this. All these lies come out. It's smoke screens and mirrors. Everybody knows this but Bomani Jones. But he got to be the token. He got to be the voice to knock everything down that the ship is building, so he can be in the good graces, so he can get back on the national spotlight.
Leverage. And what is very clear to me is that Deion misjudged what kind of leverage his son had. He got bad information. I think his son was operating on the principle that my daddy knows everything. My daddy knows this league, and my daddy says I'm going to be a top 10 pick. So I ain't got to go to all these places. I have had people tell me things about the way that Shedeur carried himself in meetings that he had with teams.
Shut up, bitch. You doing a lot of, I had people this, I had people that, but who are you? Who are you in the realms of the NFL world? You don't even count, Bomani. Let's get to that. You're not even one of the top aficionados in your own field. Let's get to that. Mia Kim knows more about the NFL roundabouts than you. I don't believe you have any of these credible sources because you haven't stood on business yet in either one of them, bruh. And let's get to that. Why don't you use the same talking points with the Manning family, since you want to talk about father leverage, or any other guys in sport who fathers played before them in the professional realms and ranks? You never did that. So why would you project what you think Shedeur thought of when Deion and Shedeur never even used leverage to begin with? He didn't do anything different than his male counterparts. This is you and your opinions and what your projection on the Sanders family. That's like, I would say you hate your own people, but it's too easy. No, bruh. You're bending down and over so you can be inserted, bruh, because you want to walk through the Nori doors. You want to be invited to the Diddy parties. And maybe that's a lie what I said, but the truth in fact still remains. You're full of shit and you just literally made that up. And I double dare you to sue me, because then I want to go to court for you to prove your sources. You're a bitch, bro.
And me things about the way that Shedeur carried himself in meetings that he had with teams. And it was poor. It was the way that you behave when you have the leverage.
You sound like some of my teachers who openly admitted not to like melanated kids when I was in elementary school. And then I would tell my mom, but she wouldn't believe us. And I love my mom. I could understand. She believes in this system the way Bomani does. But yes, our teachers would literally tell us that racial tendencies and things, all that. And you just said that right there, bro. Shedeur had poor meetings when we just broke that down. Who did he have a poor meeting with? Bomani is supposed to be a credible journalist, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody on YouTube could say anything, but him in his field, like they teach you in college, where's your source, bro? Cite your source, bro. What team did he have a poor meeting with? And that's the goddamn problem. You let dudes like him get away with too much stuff. Listen.
We did. So stop acting like everybody was so sure that Shedeur was going to go early. And then now the league they decided to put their thumb on this outspoken black man. You know how disrespectful that is, the actual outspoken black man?
First of all, if you want to know what he means by outspoken black men, he's trying to big up a man by the name of Kaepernick. So he's trying to say it doesn't exist with the Kaepernick situation, which is fallacies, because I'm going to break down Kaepernick why I don't even follow him as an outspoken black man like that, because Kaepernick did it when it benefited him, when he stole his defensive star, which is Alden Smith's fiance at the time. That's why Alden Smith got in a fight with Kaepernick in the locker room, because Kaepernick was not a good leader. He was a trifling individual who needed some type of cliche or whatever, just like Bomani is doing. So they're one and the same. Professional victims who only use the community when it benefits them. But y'all don't hear me. Kaepernick getting all this money from the Nike deal, and y'all didn't call him out for that, and still begging the NFL to go back in there. But why would you need to beg them to go back in there if you said the things about the NFL that you said, Kaepernick or Bomani Jones? But nobody talks about the Alden Smith situation where Kaepernick allowed his teammate / homeboy to become a drunk and get kicked out the league because you caused that brother to be pressed, and you didn't only steal his girlfriend, you married his fiance. But we're not going to get into that right now. We're going to stick to the bridges of all of this, because poor meetings now.
No, that's just not what happened here. They thought they had more flex than they did. They thought the league was more interested in him than they did. They thought these teams were like, hey, they need a quarterback. They gonna take this one.
But this guy to say this about Deion Sanders and Shedeur, about the flexibility situation, was no different than any other player who checked all the boxes, who had a right to think every team would like them. Why wouldn't they think that, especially at the Power 5, Power 6 level? Bomani Jones is telling you guys more projections.
All the information that I've taken in at this point, he just overplayed his hand. His father overplayed his hand. And that's where you see at the end, though, once he got drafted, he sounded a lot more humble, didn't he? And what I hate, all the information that I've taken in at this point, it
sounds like Bomani is enjoying this situation. You heard what he said? He sounds more humble, didn't he? Whoa, bro, like, these are outlandish attacks, bro. Like, why that part need to even be inserted in your rants against the Sanders family that got nothing to do with nothing? And that part right there made me break down the whole interview. That was the talking point I heard, was like, oh, they overplayed their hands and he sounds more humble. So you the stepping fetching they throw out there to make brothers more humble?
Deion Sanders can go to the combine and not do nothing but run the 40 and tell my agent to call me and leave if Deion Sanders wants to do that, right? All this stuff Deion can do. Deion Sanders can go to practice and not wear shoulder pads. He can do all this stuff. Shedeur Sanders isn't that good. He can't carry the same, he can't use the same program, right?
Whoa. Shedeur Sanders isn't that good. I told you, as always, personals with these weak knee grumps. And at the end of the day, a lot of quarterbacks and players in general don't work out at the combine. Why would I need to work out the combine when there's going to be a team's pro day like we seen Shedeur perform during the pro day, and every NFL executives went there and every single one lied later, but during the pro days, a lot of them on video, man, he played well. That's what you want to see in a quarterback. But here comes you negate that part so you can bring your own subjective reasonings. That's biased as hell, bruh. Like, as a journalist, no matter how much people hate against me, I know you're going to say I'm biased for the Sanders family. So all I do is bring receipts and facts. Tell me where I lied on Bomani yet. This dude is full of crap, bro. Why not call out all the Mayo quarterbacks who didn't work out at the draft, who actually didn't even be on the level of what Shedeur we've seen? But let's go more further deeper. You say Shedeur is not a star, but he has the highest selling jersey right now. What more do you need? So he's not a star? The highest selling jersey for a 5th round pick, but we supposed to listen to a scrub like you, sir? You're now the star. Let's get more. Bomani Jones has been a coward his entire campaign on TV. Let's go more. This rift and beef with you and Shedeur, the fact that you're the only one who created the Kaepernick narrative. Nobody did. When we said collusion, we're not looking at Shedeur as a whole. The message here is to make Shedeur shut up and send a message to the rest of us. So if my sons try to pull a Shedeur and Deion, they'll remember what the world did to Shedeur and Deion and ridicule them on a national scale and have puppets, knee grumps like you to embarrass them further. Almost every single one of you dudes who happen to look like you, bruh, why is it that it's a personal shot you taking at the young man? Fine, if you want to say he's no good, bring up valid reasons, bring up subjective things where we could sit back and be like, you got a point. But a lot of it is just projections of a personal feelings that we got to ask, did Deion sleep with your girl, bruh? Now, let's look at this, bruh. This is what you wrote, bruh. Y'all could read it. You kept bringing the Kaepernick narrative. Everything I put up here, y'all pause and read it. You brought up all that, bruh. You said to my colleagues who are making this cause, you're embarrassing yourself. You're playing yourselves to the Kaepernick narrative. None of us ever did that. Man, forget about weak Kaepernick, bruh. The hell with Kaepernick. This is about black folks everywhere around the world when people use their powers and platforms to send a message to us, but you wanted to intertwine it with the Kaepernick situation. You and Jamel Hills are the professional victims here. I'm just a man standing on business, unlike you, because you was a failure during your shows, bruh. Nah, I'm sure, hey, y'all can pause these articles because I want y'all to look at them. I'm not about to read them. I rather violate, I gotta watch my words because he will call someone, please call 911. That's him right there. They be across the river, Massa. Jones and Nate, they crossed the river. They went that way. That's your bitch ass, bruh. I'm not done yet, bruh. You got the New York Post using your headlines to big you up to bring down the Sanders family. You got Outkick, and y'all better go Google these. Everybody know they hate black folks. You got Outkick doing the same thing, like you're the conservative heroes. The hatred of conservatives, that is, because I'm a real conservative. You are the same guy that said Bomani Jones ripped NFL for making Shedeur a cause. You're embarrassing yourself. Why do you care? First of all, the media doesn't even like Shedeur. They're the ones who brought him down. Why do you care about the media now trying to trump up for Shedeur, which is a lie to begin with, because all you see is everybody talking negative about Shedeur. You know, ESPN breaks them down, bring up all these anonymous sources, make sure they don't get draft high, and they did it to all melanated players. And then when the melanated player falls in the draft, here comes them to the rescue to try to pretend they're lifting them up. Man, don't sell us that BS, bruh. See, you had a show on HBO that failed. When you separated from ESPN, you still was with ESPN, but your Games of Theory show got canceled mid-season during season 2. Never forget that. And let's go furthermore, bruh. Podcast, you're down to this now, the right time with Bomani Jones, because you was a failure in every way. You never was the star. You chased stardom. You would think with all the bending and over you did for that platform and several other males, you would actually get a chance to be the star. But they gave gave you everything. These Mayo people threw everything at you to succeed. You were on high noons. You were on highly questionable with my guy, Dan Le Batard, who I love from Miami. You feel me? South Florida hero. Unlike you, he's the real. Le Batard and Stu Gartz, they're the real journalists, and they can entertain us. That's what make us star. Even Dan Le Batard's father was more of a star than you, but I like you on highly questionable. I thought maybe you can do the T to the F, but you was just a F, bro, meaning that you look good when you're the sidekick. You can't be the leading man. Then you had a show with your guy, Pablo Juan. Pablo was more entertaining than you. You were around the horn, and the producer of Around the Horn gave you your own show. It just never worked when you had your high noon or any time you're the star player, you fell, Bomani Jones. This has always been professional and personal with clowns like you. So you'll go to the professional ranks and look professional, but the clown comes out based on what you're saying. It holds no merit. It holds no weight. And I'm still waiting for these sources that you have, but you're going to pretend to be a journalist and say, well, I got to hide my sources. But you said some outlandish things that has to have a source. Okay, you don't have a source. Can you tell us which teams he had a poor meeting with? I'll wait. And that's my point, ladies and gentlemen. I'm done with this ruckus rucker. You make sense to what I'm saying. I'm just going to tell you the real P's and Q's with truth and receipts. Nothing to be deceitful. I'm DJ Bless One, the best one. Love your family, love your kids, and please stay blessed. Over here, we don't let you step infections get away with nothing. I'm DJ Bless One. I push harder, bro. You guys push on a false narrative, and the truth with the Most High, we push more thorough. Man, this is deeper than football. It's bigger than football.
Heart been broke so many times.